Hello everyone, welcome to Exalted Mercury, the astrology channel where we are going to delve into the depths of the occult subject of Vedic astrology and explore the various zodiac signs, planets and houses. So as far as astrology is concerned, people are not only influenced by genetic, environmental and cultural factors, but also by the energetic states of the solar system at the time and place where they are born. So planets are like energies which show the urges and drives within the psychological makeup, which give us the dimensions of experience. By learning about the roles of these planets as well as the characteristics in different zodiac signs and houses, astrology can show us the path or road that are most relevant and productive for an individual. Therefore, your own personal combination of planets in a zodiac sign and house end up portraying an image of your life in something known as the natal chart, as you can see on the screen. So the chart on the left is typically what you'll see in Western astrology, which is the zodiac wheel, while on the right is what a North Indian Vedic astrology chart looks like. So the natal chart is essentially a snapshot of the sky at the exact moment you are born. So the birth chart reveals many facets of a person's personality, character and potential, along with insight and opportunity for self-discovery, relationships, career, personal aspirations, as well as challenges a person may face. So there are two primary zodiac systems, sidereal, which is what I follow, and tropical. So the difference between the systems is where those zodiac signs are placed in the sky. The sidereal system is based on the current position of the constellations, while the tropical system is based on where the stars were at a point in time 2000 years ago. So since then, Earth's position has changed over the last couple of thousand years due to gravitational pull of other planets in the solar system, altering Earth's axis and its position in relation to the zodiac signs. So the first basic ingredient that makes up a natal chart are the signs, with each being taken as 30 degrees. In astrology, there are 12 zodiac signs, each having different characteristics, and the signs represent 12 unique qualities of being or attitudes towards life. So depending on what planet falls into which sign, it will have an impact on our personality. Zodiac signs can be categorized under three modalities. The first one is the movable signs. These are Aries, Cancer, Libra and Capricorn. Movable signs represent movement and change. If these signs are prominent in a natal chart by having planets placed in them, it can show a person who likes variety and is able to adjust to new beginnings. These people are great at being able to start new projects and kicking everything off, but not always good at finishing them off. Movable signs can show someone who likes to travel a lot, and these are also the people who end up living away overseas or abroad away from their birthplace. Next up are the fixed signs. These are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio and Aquarius. Fixed signs represent the opposite of movable signs. They are stabilizing signs. If these signs are occupied by planets in a natal chart, it can show a person who is committed and dedicated to a plan or project till the end. So these people are great at carrying out plans initiated by the movable signs. Then we have the dual signs. These are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius and Pisces. Dual signs display the quality of both fixed and movable zodiac signs, making them flexible and adaptable. If these signs are prominent in a natal chart, it can show a person who is open-minded to understand situations from all different angles. They can be deep thinkers, especially Virgo and Sagittarius, and are able to use their power of intelligence to bring a plan or a project to a sound conclusion. So in addition to these modalities, each zodiac sign is associated with one of the four elements, which are fire, earth, air, and water. Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius are fire signs that denote enthusiasm, passion and energy. Fire energy is dynamic, it's restless and active, and these signs are considered masculine in nature. If fire signs are prominent in a natal chart, it can show an extrovert and adventurous personality, and the feelings and thoughts of a person who is dominated by the fiery signs are expressed outwards. Taurus, Virgo and Capricorn are earth signs that denote practicality and patience. If these signs are prominent in a natal chart, it can show routine is very important for that person. They are almost regimented and like activities where progress can be tracked, such as running. This can also show someone who is dependable and seeks out material comforts, as Taurus is a sign that denotes money, Virgo denotes service, and Capricorn denotes status. These people are natural accountants, as they can be very good at planning, budgeting and saving. However, they do tend to be more introverted and are deep thinkers who only speak and act when necessary. Gemini, Libra and Aquarius are air signs, and this element denotes intellectualism and communication in all different means, including through networking and technology. So for example, the iPhone or any mobile device which we all use are considered airy things because they connect us all together. If these signs are prominent in a natal chart, it can show someone who thrives on being social and is good and up to date with technology. Cancer, Scorpio and Pisces are water signs which denote sensitivity and emotionalism. Water element is an inner feeling, whereas fire is expressed outward, making water signs very reflective. Water is the gut feeling we have inside of us. If these signs are prominent in a horoscope, it can show someone who is thoughtful and compassionate. So each sign has a unique combination of modality and element. So for example, Aries is both a movable sign as well as a fire sign. Cancer is a movable sign, but it has a water element. So usually a person would be a mix of many zodiac elements and modalities. However, it wouldn't be unlikely or rare for a person to have all planetary energies in one element or one modality. It's also worth noting that each of these zodiac signs has a ruling planet, which I will go through when I explore each sign in a bit more detail in a future video. So the second ingredient that makes up a natal chart are the 9 planets, or graha as they are called in Vedic astrology. So they each have a different set of features and characteristics and rule over a different part of our lives. The planets bring with them their own unique vibes and directives. So you can think of the planets as characters, each with their own inherent qualities, traits and behavior. The first of the 9 planets is the Sun, which is actually a luminary body. However, in astrology it's considered a planet. The Sun rules over the zodiac sign of Leo and is the center of our solar system, the engine which powers our life and is the pure expression of vitality. The Sun represents the organized outward expression and signifies father, government, ego and individuality. Ego is often labeled in a negative sense. However, the Sun is the function that enables a person to develop self-esteem and self-determination, which are essential qualities for one to take control of their life. The Moon, which is also a luminary body and like the Sun, is considered a planet. It rules over the zodiac sign of Cancer and it represents our instinctual nature. It's the part that exists to meet our basic needs and urges. How we instinctually react or respond to problems depends on the condition of the Moon. Moon is also associated with mother or mothering figure, and the placement of Moon in the natal chart gives us clues on how we give and receive nurturing. Mercury governs our communication and intellect, ruling over the zodiac signs of Virgo and Gemini. It rules over our cognitive function in the brain and is responsible for how we process information, how we think, how we solve problems, and how we communicate. We can think of Mercury as a great processor in the human mind. It provides us the capability to transform what we hear and see into something meaningful. Mercury's placement in the chart gives us clues on how we speak, how we write, and how we express ourselves in words. Mercury influences us on a daily basis as we are communicating all the time, whether we are talking or sending emails, texting or posting on social media. We live in a hyper-connected world that relies on exchanging information, ideas, and words. The next planet is Venus, and it's considered one of the most auspicious planets. It rules over the earthy, tangible sign of Taurus. Therefore, Venus represents money and luxury. Venus also rules over the air sign of Libra and represents love and romance. The position of Venus in a chart gives us clues on what we value and what our love language is. Do you show your love by giving gifts, acts of service, or do you simply value quality time together? Venus gives us clues on what a person looks for in a partner and how they express themselves romantically. Let's move on to Mars, which is the last of the inner planets, ruling over the signs of Aries and Scorpio. This fiery planet is masculine in nature and rules over some of the more aggressive and physical parts of ourselves. Mars represents the fearless warrior inside of us and is the force that enables us to go out and get what we desire. I'm sure many of us have goals for the new year, to travel more, get fit, or maybe learn an instrument. Well, Mars represents the stamina and determination in order for us to fulfill those aspirations. Do you have the willpower to keep carrying on, or do you simply give up? The placement of Mars in a horoscope shows us how, where we expend our energy, how we fight, and how we defend ourselves. The planet Jupiter is traditionally called the Great Benefic, ruling over the zodiac signs of Sagittarius and Pisces. Being the biggest planet in the solar system, it's no surprise Jupiter represents abundance, growth, and expansion. Jupiter is considered a teacher or a guru, and its nature is optimistic, hopeful, compassionate, and generous. We associate Jupiter with luck and good fortune. Jupiter's placement in the chart shows us where things come naturally to us in life and where we can grow and expand. So moving on, the planet Saturn has great importance in Vedic astrology and is traditionally considered a malefic planet as it's associated with restrictions and limitations, as well as fear and discipline. Saturn is like a mountain which we must climb, so it represents hard work and slow progress. Saturn represents our career and the work that we do. Saturn's position in the horoscope can reveal the areas a person may face challenges. But the intention of Saturn is not to hurt us, but to teach us in a strict way, so that we can grow and develop into a stronger person. The next two planets, Rahu and Ketu, or the north and south node of the moon, aren't actually physical bodies, so we can't see them in the sky. North and south node of the moon are abstract points where the orbit of the moon around the Earth intersects with Earth orbit around the Sun. The intersection takes place at 2 points opposite one another. One of these points is marked the north node of the moon and the other the south node. The nodes of the moon are seen as indicators of past life experience and karmic destiny. The north node of the moon, or Rahu, is the karmic destiny in this life. It shows what our soul is evolving towards. It represents our insatiable desires, materialism, and obsessions in this life. The position of Rahu in the chart reveals the traits to be developed and the work to be done in the present life. Ketu, or the South Node, represents our past life. It shows the qualities developed during past lives and indicates attitudes that come naturally to us in this life. Ketu's position in the horoscope reveals the gift that we bring into this lifetime, and therefore it can represent things you are detached from or you don't give much thought to. There's a sense of been there, done that in the field of Ketu activities. So the final ingredient which combines to make up a natal chart are the houses. So just like every zodiac chart is divided into 12 signs, it is also divided into 12 houses that overlap those signs. Each house in our chart is ruled by a different sign, depending on your date, time, and place of birth. The zodiac sign that's rising on the eastern horizon at the exact moment we are born marks where the first house of our chart starts. First house is all about beginnings and the first steps we take in life. It shows the manner by which we enter the world and the way we begin different phases or aspects of life. The first house rules our sense of self, personality traits, and behavioral patterns. This house is essentially the full expression of who we are, including our physical appearance, individuality, and early childhood. The second house is the foundation of the material world and what we need to survive. Food and shelter are just some of the absolute necessities that we need in this world. Second house also deals with our early childhood, which is influenced by the family environment and family values. It represents our ability to speak. Is the person a prolific speaker? Do they speak fast or very slow? Wealth and tangible assets are also represented by this house. The third house is commonly referred to as the house of communication and includes devices that someone uses to transmit information. Phones, radios, internet are all forms of mass communication and therefore the third house. Second house is verbal communication, while the third is more about written communication. Third house also rules early learning, our interests and hobbies, as well as younger siblings. The fourth house represents all aspects of our domestic life, our actual physical home, and the country that we're born in. This house represents our peace of mind and our emotional satisfaction. Fourth house relates to nurturing and our mother or motherly figure. The fifth house is one of the most auspicious houses. Fifth house is the house of pleasure and having fun, and this can include all types of games and hobbies. The third house also represents hobbies, but the fifth represents hobbies which can be taken a step further, where someone can receive recognition and money from. This house governs all forms of creativity, self-expression, romance, and children. Intelligence, intuition, knowledge all come under the umbrella of the fifth house. So the sixth house is the first difficult house which we have to deal with, as it represents obstacles and enemies. Enemies might be a strong word, so you could say it represents opponents or competitors. So if you think about the fifth house again, the previous house, and think about the recognition you receive for a skill or a hobby. So unfortunately, there will always be people who try to undermine and criticize. If there is an opportunity for a promotion in a job, there could be 3 or 4 employees who would be contesting for that role. So this is represented by the sixth house. The sixth house also rules our day-to-day jobs and the service we provide to others. Essentially, it indicates our daily routine. In addition, the sixth house represents debts, such as when people take out a loan to buy a house. The sixth house of Vedic astrology is also identified as a sickness house that can bring minor suffering and illness. So the 7th house symbolizes all forms of relationships, both personal and formal, which includes marriages and business partnerships, as well as other contractual agreements. So if we think back to the 5th house, which is the house of romance, so after the honeymoon period of meeting someone and going out on dates, we get to the 7th house, which is the house where we commit to a relationship. So the next challenging house is the 8th house, which rules over life-changing events, sudden unexpected events, and transformation. So after the commitment of marriage is made in the 7th house and the couple decide to live together and then they decide to have a baby, this will drastically transform both of their lives. So it's no longer about themselves now, they have to give all their energy to the newborn. So this is one of the many life-changing events that many people have to deal with at some point. 8th house is also the house of spouses' assets and unexpected gain. So those that are lucky enough to win the lottery, this is signified by the 8th house. 8th house also represents in-laws, secrets, and chronic illnesses. This house represents fear. So those times in life when we feel like we are in a dark place and we feel helpless. Overall, the 8th house entails some degree of pain and suffering. However, this is temporary, and we human beings have to go through this in order for our soul to grow, and we emerge renewed and wiser about ourselves and life. So we move on to the 9th house, which is the most favourable house in the natal chart, as it shows one's fortune and luck in the present life. This house represents higher education, such as masters, PhDs, and any professional qualifications we pursue. This house connects us with our leaders in the world. This includes teachers, bosses, and our father. 9th house is the polar opposite of the 3rd house, where the 3rd house is about learning and knowing. 9th house is more about understanding what we know, turning our knowledge into wisdom. 9th house also governs long distance travel and adventure. The 10th house is the highest, most visible point in the sky. If we tilt our heads back, the 10th house is directly above our head. 10th house governs our status, our reputation, and highest achievements. Whereas the 6th house represents our day-to-day activities in our work, the 10th house shows the field and level we have attained in our career. This house can show whether the person can reach fame and importance in the public world. 11th house is to do with our network circle, including our friends, societies, and groups that we are part of. The 11th house rules the fruits of our labour, our weekly, monthly salary that we get from jobs. 11th house also rules retirement. So after we have accomplished our career goals in the 10th house, we try to fulfill our other life goals and dreams, which is represented by the 11th house. So we can think of the 11th house as a house of promise, since the results tend to get better with time. So the final house in the chart, the 12th house, represents endings and letting go. It's the dissolution of the ego and merging with something greater than the self. This house is not great for material prosperity, since it symbolizes expenses and wastage. This house also represents ill health, as it governs hospitals and isolation. However, for those that are on a spiritual path, like monks and sages, 12th house is a wonderful house for those who are trying to get enlightened. This house also represents monasteries, meditation centers, and ashrams. It can also represent charity and self-sacrifice. On a positive ending, this house can show foreign travel, but unlike the 9th house, we can get a stronger idea of foreign settlement from here. So these 12 houses that we have gone through can also be grouped based on their features. So the first astrological house type are the Kendra or angular houses. So these are the 1st house, 4th house, 7th house and 10th house. So these are considered good houses. The 1st, the 4th, the 7th and 10th are homes for our primary concerns, our identity, family, relationships and career. Kendra houses spur us into action and represent 4 basic areas of life which have a strong impact on our individuality. 1st house, which is our personal identity. 4th house, which is our home country and mother, which have a major impact on us. 7th house, which is the house of other people and partnerships, influence us. And finally, the 10th house, the career we decide to undertake, has an impact on our personality. So benefic planets placed here enhance the strength of the primary concern houses, whereas malefic planets can cause challenges. So I will go through the planets in houses in a future video. So the next astrological house type are the trine houses. So trine means threefold, and trine houses are 1st house, 5th house and 9th house. So there are actually 4 different trine arrangements, but in this video we are only going to look at the Dharma Trikone, which are the 1st, 5th and 9th house. So these are considered the most fortunate houses in the chart. We can see that the 1st house is both a Kendra house and a trine house. So the 1st house is the most important house in the natal chart because it represents our existence and true self. The spiritual triangle Dharma Trikone consists of aspects of our soul's mission, accumulated merit and the manifestation of past karma. So you can think of the 5th house as the results of our accumulated karma. It can show the gifts we bring to this life and things we are naturally good at. 9th house is the future, so it shows where we want to go with learning and education. Benefic planets placed in trinal houses support the native and add greater strength to the horoscope. The next house type are the Upacharya houses. Upacharya houses are 3rd, 6th, 10th and 11th, and Upacharya means to develop. So these houses see an improvement with time and as we get older. 3rd house shows our desires and self-efforts. These are further developed by the 6th house. 10th house is where we get our recognition, leading to the 11th house, which is monetary gains. Malefic planets such as Saturn and Mars in these houses work quite well because the values of Saturn, which is hard work, and the values of Mars, which is determination, need to be embraced if we want to have tangible benefits and improvement to our lives. The final house type are the Destana houses. So these houses are the 6th house, 8th house and 12th house, which can represent challenges of different degrees. So 6th house, as we mentioned, represents working and service. It however also represents diseases, debts and obstacles. So 6th house is both an Upacharya house and a Destana house, and having natural malefic planets such as Mars and Saturn in the 6th can actually help fight or restrict opponents or illnesses. 8th house represents transformation, chronic illnesses and sudden events, and 12th house represents losses. However, having planets in these houses doesn't always produce negative results, and many times we can see very positive results from planetary bodies in these houses. So the planets show what is happening, the signs show how it is happening, and the houses show the area of life where it is happening. So we've reached the end of the video. Thank you if you made it to the end, and hopefully you found this overview of introduction to astrology both enjoyable and informative. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.